Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communication. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. Former Trinidad and Tobago Government Minister Kamaluddin Mohammed receives the region's highest award. Guyanese President speaks at opening ceremonies of the 33rd CARICOM Heads of Government Summit in Rodney Bay, St. Lucia. And over 17,000 students received their SCA results. Thank you for joining us. SCA results are out. Over 17,000 children's lives changed as they received the results of their secondary entrance assessment examination. As is customary, Education Minister Dr. the Honorable Tim Gopi Singh paid a visit to the school of the child who placed first in the country.
It was a bittersweet moment for SCA students at Canaan Presbyterian, as although they now part ways, their last moments shared together were shared celebrating one of their classmates who placed first in the SEA examinations. The room was filled with applause when Minister of Education, Dr. the Honorable Tim Gopi Singh, who paid a surprise visit to the school, announced the name of the student who came first in the country in the SEA exam.
So it is my honor and pleasure now to indicate the name of the student who placed first in the SEA examination out of the 17,800 students. The name of the student is Rebecca Ann S. Jatan.
Canaan Presbyterian was one of 80 schools which had children placing in the top 200 students. The schools with the top results included San Fernando Muslim TML with 19 students placing in the top 200, San Fernando Muslim Astor with 13, St. Joseph Muslim TML with 6, Princestown Presbyterian with 6 students, Montrose Government 5, and St. Peter's Private Primary 5 students as well. Minister Gopi Singh noted the overall improvement in the results this year, saying the moving of the exam from March to May just might have been a factor.
We have seen some incremental improvement in the academic performance, which is very gratifying. It substantiates the fact that a little more time and for preparation would have probably contributed to this improvement to some extent. There are other factors which would have contributed, but I think since we have come into government as a People's Partnership government, I'm very relieved to see that we have obviously contributed towards improving the performance of our students in all schools. Remember this year now 71% of our students came above 50%, which is really phenomenal.
Meanwhile, Dr. Gopi Singh reminded the children that despite their results in the examination, a positive outlook on life always makes success easier to achieve.
Remember that regardless of what happens, when it happens, or how it happens, you must always believe that success shall be yours. Success shall be yours. For whatever your mind can conceive, you can definitely achieve. So dream big, dream things big, and you will achieve big things.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Regional recognition for former Trinidad and Tobago Government Minister Kamaluddin Mohammed, who was one of the architects of Caribbean integration. The region's highest award, the Order of CARICOM, was conferred on the veteran politician as the community celebrates its 39th birthday in Castries, St. Lucia.
After more than half a century in public life, a citation that recognizes the pivotal role Kamaluddin Mohammed played in replanting the Caribbean vineyard. 30 continuous years as a government minister, the Caribbean listened on this CARICOM Day to the journey of a true West Indian integrationist who was intent on building the broken bridges of federation.
Apart from serving as acting Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Mohammed, over his 30 years in politics, was at various times Minister for Public Utilities, for West Indian Affairs, for External Affairs, for Health, and for Local Government. He also served as Ambassador to CARICOM for 3 years. Obviously, for someone to have held so many different portfolios speaks volumes regarding his capacity.
His son Alimuddin received the OCC on his behalf, expressing thanks to the community and singling out those who made it happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago for nominating me for this prestigious honor. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I also want to acknowledge the work that was done by our former Foreign Minister, Dr. Suraj Ratan Rambachan, and His Excellency, Mr. Edwin Carrington.
An elated Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar said, "It is long overdue."
Indeed, when I made a recommendation for this award to be given to him, it was accepted, almost unanimously by the heads.
Ambassador Mervyn Assam also showered praises on the retired veteran politician.
He has done a lot of good work, both at the local government level and at the central government level and at the regional level. And of course, he made his name when he was Minister of West Indian Affairs, and he really made a real good job of it.
This is an award in recognition of life, both public and private. For Kamal Mohammed epitomizes the characteristics of a true West Indian who has given so much to Trinbagonian and regional development. From Castries, St. Lucia, this is Gideon Hanumansing.
Thank you very much, Gideon. And we invite you to stay tuned to TV4 this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. as we pay tribute to Kamaluddin Mohammed. More news after the break. Stay with us.
The iPhone 4S has an all-new camera with 8 megapixels and advanced optics. So it lets you capture stunning photos. And because it's an iPhone, you can do things you never imagined possible with a camera. So maybe the only camera you need is the one on the most amazing iPhone yet.
Welcome back. Cricket is not a private plaything of anyone in the region, says Ghane's President, His Excellency Donald Ramutar, as he spoke at the opening ceremonies of the 33rd CARICOM Heads of Government Summit in Rodney Bay, St. Lucia. He was one of 4 heads who analyzed where regional integration has reached and where it must go in the best interest of those whom it serves.
It was almost like prime ministerial stock-taking, as the 4 CARICOM leaders who spoke vigorously critiqued some vital components of the integration process. Leading the charge was Guyana's Donald Ramutar, who called for more creative ways in minimizing the impact of economic stagnation elsewhere that could negatively affect Caribbean socio-economic agendas. He said the region must look after itself in the face of a failed Rio +20 climate change conference and unleashed heavily on some West Indies cricket administrators.
Key matches are now being taken out of the region, while some of the territories are deliberately deprived. This must be a great concern to all of us. West Indies cricket is not the private property of some administrators, but it is a regional public good.
Suriname's Desi Bouterzé, and outgoing chairman of CARICOM, said CARICOM must begin to operate within the framework of current global transformation.
We have to enhance the way we use to fuel each other. We have to interact with each other in such a way that we terminate the old practice of following examples.
The lone lady in the pack, Portia Simpson Miller of Jamaica, was somewhat philosophical, asking her colleague heads to honor the intent and mission of the visionaries of integration.
Now is the time. This is the hour. Let us, with unity of purpose, now move the agenda of the CARICOM forward. Let us unite and build our region. Our people deserve it. They will settle for nothing less.
And in assuming the chair, host Prime Minister Kenny Anthony petitioned for serious in-camera dialogue, the shift in market prospecting by embracing Africa, South America and emerging economies and understanding the need to positively move forward.
CARICOM is our creation, born of the dream and faith of Caribbean men and women just like us. And so, in this era, we must further this idyllic Caribbean dream and set it anew.
In response, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar said she was pleased about the overwhelming recommitment to regional integration.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Milne, she was very clear there are good things that have come out of the CARICOM, and it is for us to continue to try to improve. We cannot just put our hands in and say, well, we haven't implemented or not enough. We need to continue to try to improve. So I was very heartened by the comments here today, and I look forward to the discussions during the rest of the sessions.
Yeah, I was, like Prime Minister, I was very pleased with what Dr. Anthony said today, because he called for a politics of engagement as opposed to the politics of protest. And that was the genesis of that discourse we had on Caribbean convergence some time ago. So I think it's a good new beginning that we can build upon, but there are hard decisions to be made.
The 5-hour event was interspersed with a few cultural items by the Richard Ambrose dance troupe. On Thursday, the leaders will be in all-day caucus, hoping to set the tone for next year's 40th anniversary of CARICOM. From Castries, St. Lucia, this is Gideon Hanumansing.
In other news, persons interested in commuting to Grenada and Venezuela via sea will soon be able to travel using the water taxi service. This according to the president of NIDCO, Dr. Carson Charles, who says plans are being considered as government seeks to transform the water taxi service into a profitable entity. He was speaking during the opening of the new San Fernando water taxi terminal.
Plans to extend water taxi services to Tobago and neighbours Venezuela and Grenada are currently under consideration. President of the National Infrastructure Development Company, NIDCO, Dr. Carson Charles, says proposals from a private firm are being considered for the chartering of vessels for this purpose. Dr. Charles was speaking during the commissioning of the new water taxi terminal in San Fernando. He says the new initiative aims to maximize the potential of the service.
We went to Venezuela, met with the Venezuelan ambassador, they were all very excited last year. Said you can run a service to Venezuela. Sharon went there with a mission. And I think they want to go now off to Grenada, that's the next stop. Again, potential, there's potential. You have to work it through, you have to do a lot of work and so on. Diplomatic work in this country and so on. And the minister, I'm sure, will want to be fully briefed and fully involved in all these discussions and so on, so we know how we're going forward. But there's potential if you want to use it, as I said, not just to carry some passengers from ports in San Fernando and back, but to build a maritime industry in this country.
Transport Minister Chandra Sharma, who only assumed his new role last week following the cabinet reconfiguration, notes that government was outlining plans to transform the service towards a more efficient and profitable one.
Based on the statistics available to me, 13 passengers ride down. So 276 plus 15 versus 810 seats. So we have to be very careful. But Dr. Charles and I have agreed with the other stakeholders and advisors to meet very soon, as early as next Wednesday, to review where we are and to try and make some good sense and to communicate to the national community where we are, what is happening, and how we intend to treat with it in the future.
Passengers using the water taxis at the South Terminal will now be able to relax in a more spacious and comfortable surrounding. Dr. Charles expressed pleasure in providing the new terminal to passengers traveling to and from San Fernando.
We here at NIDCO, who are running the service on behalf of the Ministry of Transport, we are willing to play our role if that is what is required. And I'm very happy today that this building is now here. And the staff who I toured and met them last year, I'm happy that we could be of service to you, that you have something more fitting to spend your days in. And the suffering customers who had to go through the kind of thing we had here as well to get to use the service. Brand new vessels, but a real rundown plates. I'm happy that you have something a little better again. We owe this to you, and we are very happy to be of service.
Currently, the water taxi service provides transport for over 2,400 persons on a daily basis, cutting the amount of commuters on the nation's roads. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Sport is up right after the break. Stay with us.
I bring a message of peace. P-E-A-C-E. It's about patriotism, environment, and citizenship education. Calling you, or youths, between the ages of 14 to 20, become a trainee in the Peace Program nationwide.
Just 6 weeks of peace training starting 9 July.
Come join us 2 days a week.
From 9 to 3.
Over the age of 18,
you want to be an instructor in this program?
Your training starts from the 25th to the 29th of June.
Interested in becoming a trainee or instructor?
You can call us at 625-2652 or 625-9557.
Or visit us online at peaceprogram2012@gov.tt.
The Peace Program.
Promoting patriotic citizenship.
An initiative of the Ministry of National Security for the 50th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence.
Welcome back. Few individuals have earned the distinction of Olympic medal winning coach. The Honorable Minister of Sport, Anil Roberts, is one such individual, having guided the program which led to the success of swimmer George Bovell III at the 2004 Olympic Games in Athens, Greece. News 4 Sports was fortunate to garner from Minister Roberts some of what it takes to achieve that level of success. Wayne Cunningham has the details.
George Bovell III won this country's only medal at the 2004 Olympic Games in Athens, Greece, which happens to be our only medal in swimming. The Honorable Anil Roberts, Minister of Sport, is the Olympians' longtime coach, and we asked him what is required to prepare an Olympic athlete.
Well, it starts really in the home. First of all, the parents are the most important thing. You won't be an Olympic athlete if your parents do not understand the fine line between support and interference. You need parental support, guidance, and support of the coaching philosophy and so on. So parents first. With good parents, you have great athletes. Then from there, the coach must have the requisite knowledge to be an international level coach and an athlete, to identify talent, to understand the sports science, the physiology, the psychology that goes in to preparing an athlete. And then on top of that, after you know the science, the macro cycles, how to prepare, how to rest, how much to stress a body, because bodies improve and adapt to stress levels. But you also have to understand the individual athlete. No two athletes are the same.
Some other non-physical elements must also be incorporated.
On top of that, you need funding. You need to understand that the athlete comes first. The chef de mission, everybody, all the medical staff must understand they're not going to the games to go on tours and to see, to sightsee. They're going to work, and they're going to work and put the athletes first. Make sure that they eat properly. A lot of young athletes go to the Olympics, and countries, athletes from developing world countries go to the Olympics and start to eat food, because there's food like you've never seen before. They start to eat things that they never saw. And next thing you know, in 5-6 days, they put on 2 or 3 pounds. That impacts on their athletic performance. All of these details you have to see about.
Minister Roberts is optimistic about our medal chances, and that is not just in the pool.
Across the board, we have some good chances. I think our 4x4 men stand a great chance at medaling, but then they have to do the work. They have to get through the rounds, they have to get into the final, and then their baton passing, their selection, and who runs in what position is going to be critical. The 4x1 woman, Kellyanne Batiste, looking great, but I saw Fraser Price from Jamaica looking good too, Carmelita Jeter. But I think Kellyanne has been showing a lot of confidence. She can run the 4 runs now. A 4x1 woman with Kai Selman and Michelle Leahy joining Kellyanne Batiste and so on. It looks great for medal, but we have to get the baton around. So again, coaching each level, each thing, you have to take one step at a time. George Bovell looks solid with his 21.89 earlier. The Americans picked their team, so Cullen Jones and Anthony Irvin made a comeback from since 2001 after being out and made the U.S. team last night. So in the 50-meter freestyle, they're going to have Cesar Cielo from Brazil, who's the hot favorite, and then the Americans and some French swimmers, and then George Bovell. Once he gets in the final, we could be looking at excitement. Jazane Phillips looks incredible, breaking the national record again, 9.775 in the flying 200, and he is maturing in his ability to race one-on-one, head-to-head in the match sprint. So that looks good. Andrew Lewis in sailing. You never know. This is the first time we've had a sailor qualify since 1968 Olympics when the Barrow brothers qualified. But in sailing, I think sailing is one of the fairest competitions because you have 10 days straight of sailing. I think there are 42 sailors from the world, out of the world chosen. And the top 10 after 10 races get to race one day for medals.
A key component of all sporting success is support. And the minister encouraged all to be part of the Olympic effort.
We have a great team, Trinidad and Tobago, but it all comes down now to patriotic support. They have to know the country is behind them. We have to prepare them and make sure that they're as comfortable as possible. And they have to take each race, each event, one step at a time. Do not get ahead of yourself. Everything on paper is all right. You could be great on paper, but you have to be great on the day at the right time. So while we have a good time, there's no prediction of medals. You cannot predict medals. You have to go there one by one step at a time.
Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
In other news, Social Development Minister Dr. the Honorable Glenn Ramadasing is applauding the efforts of the ODPM and all agencies involved in assisting those affected by the freak storm earlier this week, which ripped off roofs and destroyed vehicles and crops, among other valuables, in the vicinity of Point Fortin. He was speaking with residents during a visit to the area.
A freak storm which hit Point Fortin and Chatham came without any warning. Luckily, there were no injuries. Tall trees were uprooted and thousands of dollars worth of crops destroyed. Minister Ramadasing says the families affected will be assessed for the roof repair grant, among other government assistance grants. He adds that counseling will also be made available to the family members affected.
The Ministry of the People and Social Development, in the cases of emergency, we have a grant that we can give to help restore the roof and parts of the building. He has been already assessed for that. We will then partner with self-help to see what further support may be needed. Self-help is actually on their way right now to this location. And then we also, when this happens, your entire kitchen area sometimes is affected. So we bring a little food support. In some cases now we have the emergency temporary food card where they can purchase things that they need, as opposed to we giving them a pre-packaged hamper. And also in some cases, and it's a very serious issue, they need psychosocial support, counseling.
The Social Development Minister is announcing that government will be beefing up the services of all agencies involved in disaster management. But he's also urging citizens to make the extra effort and prepare themselves for natural disasters, especially in light of the approaching hurricane season.
We want to continue to build capacity to respond to any similar activity or one that may be even more catastrophic. As you know, we are approaching the hurricane season. It's said June too soon, July stand by. August is a must. So this is a time for all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to begin thinking about your action plan in the case of disaster, hurricane, strong winds. I advocate that you go to the ODPM website, the website of the Ministry of the People. You can Google information as to what are the steps to be taken. And I'm sure that these websites will also have information. We'll continue to put out information.
Residents say that in less than 20 seconds, the forces of nature had them scampering for safety as roofs were blown off. They stood and watched sheets of galvanized toss about in the air, landing elsewhere. One resident, Mr. Shazam Mohammed, attempted to describe the traumatic event.
It's just a roaring wind for 20 seconds or less. And this, I saw my neighbor, the roof wasn't there. So I told my daughter, check mine. She said that gone already. So, and that was it. And by the time she said gone already, the wind stopped. 20 seconds or less. Damages like that. So it could happen to anybody. Where I see it on TV before. I say, well, sorry for the people and them. I say, well, one day to come. I don't know who will be here. So my turn is today or yesterday. So thank God for everybody was alive, and no damages. And thank God for the neighbors again, who really helped.
Minister Ramadar Singh is also applauding the ODPM and all agencies involved in assisting those affected by the freak storm.
We are very happy that there are no casualties and no one has been damaged. We are also very proud because all of us have been streamlining and harmonizing our emergency response team. I know that the Ministry of the People and Social Development, because of the capacity, the institutional capacity we are building, just as we got the news from the ODPM, we were able to activate our emergency response team in this area. And I know that as of early this morning, all the requisite applications for assistance, all the other services that could have been provided in collaboration with local government and ODPM were here on site. So we are very happy to see the agencies coming together, and we are very proud to play a role in coming to the assistance. As the gentleman said, Mr. Shazam Mohammed, this could happen to anyone.
Vuna Bharath, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communication. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.